Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
When we say Going In Raw is the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to, it's not just because we keep you up to date on the latest wrestling news. It's not just because we have full, detailed, and critical reviews of every WWE and AEW show with coverage of New Japan and, of course, AAA. It's because, wait,
what?
Why is this the only pro wrestling show they need to be listening to?
Because we've been friends for over 20 years, wrestling fans for nearly as long, and work partners for more than a decade, and we literally couldn't do anything else. So we kind of need to be the only pro wrestling podcast people need to be listening to. Our livelihoods depend on it.
Desperation's a good enough reason for me, Larson.
Yeah.
So subscribe to Going In Raw,
A pro wrestling podcast.
You can find us wherever you get your podcasts.
You are listening to Any Given Sunday, a part of the Dead End Podcast Network. Please subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and all other podcasting services. Please make sure you check out Dead End Hip Hop, Dead End Sports, Dead End Gaming, Is the Mic Still On, Chris Platt's Strictly Hip Hop and Hoops Talk, and a host of other shows on our podcast network. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. You are listening to Any Given Sunday for Sunday, January 26, 2020. I am your host, Manny Brown. What's up, everybody? Hopefully you guys had a happy, safe, blessed week. A little bit of a different show today. No guest, just me. I haven't done one of these solo shows in a while. I felt like today was perfect. It was apropos. It's hard to do a regular show with the news items of today. Obviously, the shocking, sudden, tragic death of Kobe Bryant. Anyone who's listened to this show for more than 5 minutes, anybody who knows me knows that I am a huge Laker fan and I am a huge Kobe Bryant fan. I'm a Kobe stan. I grew up my whole, it's essentially my whole basketball life my life as a fan of basketball. I've grown up watching Kobe Bryant, following his career, staying up late on the East Coast, as a preteen, trying to watch him and trying to watch Laker games. So those of you that know me personally know that, I'm a huge Kobe Bryant fan, and today was devastating. I feel like, and I'm not the only one. Obviously, everybody has this feeling today. And first, before I get into my thoughts and my feelings on Kobe and his loss and what it means and all that, first and foremost, I like to say my prayers to all of the victims today. Obviously, Kobe and his daughter, but there were 7 other individuals that perished in this crash, and my prayers to them and their families. Obviously, my prayers to Vanessa Bryant, her remaining daughters, Kobe's parents, their extended family. I spent all day trying to figure out what I was going to say, trying to process what words were going to come out of my mouth when I turned this microphone on today. So excuse me if I'm a little choppy. I honestly didn't know what I wanted to say. I, like everyone, went through the 7 stages of grief all in one day. Like I went through, shock. I went through denial. I went through hurt, extreme hurt. I went through celebrating this man's legacy, anger. I cried. I mean, it was just every emotion in the book I went through today. And then I tried to process what I was going to say tonight, because honestly, I didn't even know if I was going to do this, but I felt like I had to. I felt like this was a good escape. This was a good release. So here I am. I turned the microphone on and I just started talking. It's crazy because it's like a part of my childhood died today. It's like a part of my life died today. And I'm not one to overemphasize and fetishize celebrity. I'm someone that, I'm not usually starstruck from people and celebrities. I've met some folks, I've seen folks, and I'm not that starstruck type of person. But Kobe is that one person. I would say Kobe and Jay-Z are like the 2 celebrities that, like, if I ever met, I would just be like that starstruck person. Like I would be at a loss for words. Like I wouldn't be able to talk. Like I wouldn't even be able to breathe. But I've never had a celebrity death hit me in this way. Like I've never had someone that I didn't know. Forget barely. I didn't know this man. I didn't know Kobe Bryant personally, but his death has touched me in a way that no death of a celebrity has ever touched me, man. Like, I cried today. Man, when I found out the news, I just like the world just stopped. Like, everything just stopped. The whole world around me just stopped. And I was just like in a trance for about 5 minutes. Like, I couldn't even process it. It's like my brain was running, but nothing was happening. Like, it was just like, I was in a state of shock. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't process it. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't put words. I know my wife called me a couple times to see how I was doing. Like, I had friends reach out. Like, I just like, I couldn't even find it within me to like process words at the time. So it took me all day to try to record this podcast. It took me having to take a drive for a little bit. It took me to have to watch the whole Royal Rumble, get my mind off. I mean, it just took me a lot to have to get here right now. And I just wanted to come on to talk about Kobe Bryant's impact on my life. What are my memories of being a Kobe Bryant fan? Just to share some thoughts. I know that there's been different people that have written some pieces and done some podcasts. I know Trevor Lane, our guest 2 weeks ago, wrote a fantastic piece over at LakerNation.com. You guys should go check it out. Harrison Fagan, another former guest on this show on Silver Screen and Roll, wrote a beautiful piece as well. You guys should go check that out. So there's a lot of people and obviously all the columns and editorials have come out and all to varying degrees, all wonderful pieces, people recalling memories. And obviously these folks have had the good fortune of meeting Kobe Bryant, of having a conversation with him. I never had that fortune, so all I can share is just my memories as a fan, what he meant to me, what he meant to my life. As I mentioned before, I'm a Laker fan through and through, hardcore. And I became a Laker fan in 1994. And as often is the case when you become a fan of a sports team, and I've said that before on this podcast, like there's no perfect answer. When people ask you like, why do you become a sports fan? Why do you root for this team, and why do you root for it? There's no perfect answer. I mean, most of the time you're a child, so there's no real like scientific reason why. Like with the Mets, my dad was a Met fan, and the little bit of memories that I have of my dad, I remember him watching Mets games, and it was something that just instantly was like, okay, I'm a Met fan because my dad's a Met fan. Duke. I grew up watching Duke games on TV. My brother at the time was a big Duke fan, so I started rooting for Duke. With the Lakers, it was weird because, I idolized my older brother and he was a huge Knicks fan. And a lot of members of my family are Knicks fans, and friends that we grew up with in the neighborhood were Knicks fans. So, and obviously being in New York, like you had to be a Knicks fan, right? So as a kid, when I'm 8 years old and I'm really starting to get into basketball, of course I decided to be a Knicks fan at first. And I still to this day, I've always said this. I still have a rooting interest in the Knicks. I still follow the Knicks. I still want to see them do good. The way I would explain it is the Knicks are my first love, the girl that I first kissed, but the Lakers are the girl that I brought home to mom, the girl that I decided to marry, your first love, the girl you fall in love with. So what attracted me to being a Laker fan was Nick Van Exel. Weirdly enough, I don't know what it was about Nick Van Exel, but I just loved the way he played. And I think the first Laker game I watched was a game that he just balled out. He scored like 35 points, had like 10 assists. Just really, like, it was just a dominant performance. And I was always intrigued by their colors. I always loved the purple and gold, and it was just something that just stuck out in my head. So I loved the colors, and I just became a Laker fan. So again, there it is. No real scientific reason for why you root for a team. So I became a Laker fan, and at first I tried to keep it a secret. I tried to, be silent with my Laker fandom, but eventually after a while, I kind of just was like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I'm a Laker fan. And my brother has never let me live that down, that I'm a Laker fan. But I became a Laker fan. And the way I rationalized it was my brother, he had his team. That was his team. The Knicks were his team. The Yankees were his team. And I had mine. The Mets were my team. The Jets were my team. And the Lakers were my team. And, and 8 years old is like that right age where you really start falling in love with sports, falling in love with a team, developing that rooting interest, developing that fan mentality. So it was perfect, so I became a Laker fan. And, fast forward to 1996, we get Shaq in free agency. It's like, oh my God, we just got the best player, or one of the best players in the NBA at the time, young phenom superstar Shaq. And we get this kid right out of high school in a trade with the Hornets named Kobe Bryant. And it was weird because like when we first got Kobe Bryant, like, the first thing that stuck out to me was that he was 18 years old, that he was a teenager, that he was a kid, like me, so in my head, I rationalized like, oh, well, I'm 10 and he's 18. We're close enough in age. Like I could play in the NBA. Obviously, if you know me, you know that I have no athletic skills whatsoever, especially playing basketball. That's why I talk about basketball, not play it. But in my head, it just was like, yo, I could, he's 18 and he's playing in the NBA. Like, I just thought that was so cool. So I instantly became a Kobe Bryant fan, not knowing anything about his game, not knowing whether he was going to be good, not knowing whether he was going to be a bust. Like, I just instantly became attached to Kobe Bryant. And, as the years went along, I just found myself being more and more of a fan of Kobe Bryant. I loved the way he played. I loved his work ethic. I loved the fact that every single game he played, even at a young age, it just felt like every single game he played, it felt like he was playing his final game. It just felt like every single game he played, he was giving you 150%. It literally felt like he was playing a game for his life. And I always respected that about that dude, man. I always appreciated that about him. And like I said, I'm a Laker fan. I'm a young Laker fan, and I have a young superstar to root for. Really, two young superstars to root for, but really Kobe was younger, and I always found him a little bit more relatable. Shaq is 7'3", 300 and something pounds. Shaq fucking feels like a superhero by comparison. So I always found Kobe more relatable. And, you go along through the journey of a fan, so you go through the journey of watching the ultimate highs of game winners and playoff victories and championships to the ultimate lows of, being accused of rape and not knowing if, not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing this guy who I rooted for is going to go to jail. Should I still root for this guy? Just going through the ultimate lows, going through trade requests and trade demands and, all these things. And then back up to the highs of winning, 2 more championships without Shaq. And then obviously through the down periods where, he's past his prime and he's hanging on by a thread. And it's just, you go through the gamut of emotions as a fan when you follow a team and you follow a player. And, I was there for all of it, 20 years worth. And it's just a special connection that you have as a fan. Obviously, I didn't know Kobe Bryant. I don't know him personally. I didn't know his daughter. I didn't know his kids. But, you have an attachment to somebody like that. You have an attachment to somebody that you grew up watching, that you idolize in a different way, not in a personal way, but you idolize their greatness. You idolize their impact on your life. Kobe gave me some of the greatest memories I've ever had in my life, as a sports fan. Some of the greatest thrills. I still remember sitting in my room in 2000, June 3rd, June 4th, whatever it was, of 2000, Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, that comeback in the fourth quarter, the famous alley-oop to Shaq, Staples going crazy, me screaming. 14-year-old kid, soon-to-be 14-year-old kid in my room screaming to the point where my mom comes in bursting, yelling, cursing at me, telling me to shut the hell up because I'm waking up my little brother and sister. And these are moments that still stick with me. I was there for 81 points. I was there for Game 7 of the 2010 NBA Finals. I was there for, the 5-point comeback in 50 something seconds against the Raptors in 2014, that stretch in 2014 where he was just dragging us to the playoffs, or it was a 2013, sorry. That stretch of 50-point games that he had in 2007. You're just there for all these moments. And they're just exhilarating moments that will stick with me, athletic memories that will stick with me forever. Kobe Bryant did that. And I just always respected how he played, the tenacity, the ferocity, the work ethic and the dedication he had to his craft. That's something that anybody could respect. But the thing that I always respected about him was I always respected his attitude. Like, he's somebody that worked hard, but he didn't care if he was loved. He didn't care if he was liked. He didn't care what you thought about him. He just was going to be him. And a lot of people criticize Kobe throughout his career. He was aloof. He wasn't, he was friendly to the media. He was friendly enough to the media, but he was never that media guy. He kind of had a weird personality to some of his teammates and stuff like that. But I kind of always appreciated a guy that just was comfortable in his own skin, that knew who he wanted to be, wasn't going to try to be fake, wasn't going to try to be phony about it. I respected that, you know, and I respected the type of leader that he was, because that is a leadership quality in itself. Someone that just doesn't care what people think of him, doesn't care if people like him, doesn't care if people love him, hate him. He is who he is. That's a leadership quality in that of itself. And someone that played the game with a ferocity and a tenacity and a just win at all costs. Like, I'll rip your fucking guts out to try to win. How can you not love somebody like that? And he really was the last of an era. He was the last of a dying breed. I think one of my criticisms of basketball in this day and age is that you don't see a lot of guys like Kobe Bryant anymore. The guys that just, you know, I don't want to be your friend on the court. Like, I want to rip your heart out. Like, I want to rip your fucking heart out to win. Like, I felt that with Kobe. I felt like he didn't have friends on the court. Like, I wanted to destroy, he wanted to destroy you. And I respected that. I loved that as a Laker fan. And it's crazy because I said that Kobe was more relatable than Shaq. Shaq felt like a superhero, but there were times where, as a Laker fan, like, Kobe was our superhero. Like I remember thinking, like, as a Laker fan, like, we would be down 15 going into the fourth quarter, 15 mid fourth quarter, and I always felt like in the back of my mind, we got Kobe, so we gonna come back. Like, it didn't matter. I mean, of course, we didn't win up every single game. Sometimes we may come back, sometimes we didn't, but it just felt like he was the ultimate trump card. Like, he was the ultimate superhero. Like I had fucking Captain America or Batman or Superman in my back pocket. Like, I'm rooting for this guy. Like, no matter how bad we played, how shitty we looked, you know, what the deficit was, like, it just felt like the Lakers were going to make a comeback as long as Kobe Bryant was in the game. And, you know, it's crazy, man. It's crazy that I got to watch this man's career for 20 years. It's crazy that I got to sit through some of those amazing moments. I wish that I would have got to know him. I wish that I would have got to interview him. Obviously, definite bucket list item was to interview Kobe Bryant, but, you know, unfortunately I didn't get that opportunity. And, you know, I've been reading a lot about him, you know, a lot of stories that have come out, a lot of pieces that were written tonight. And one of the words that have stuck with me is he's a complex figure, you know, that he was complicated. But aren't we all? I mean, that's the nature of human beings as is that we're all complicated. We're all complex, you know. And as often it tends to be when celebrities die, you know, there seems to be like 80-90% of folks that mourn their death and celebrate their legacies. And there's always that small 10% that, you know, play the whataboutism game or the try to just be trolls. And a lot of people have brought up the rape allegations. And I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to give those people energy. I'm not going to give those people what they want, because those people are trolls and they want attention. But a lot of people have brought that up. And look, I'm not here to blame at anybody. I'm not here to, you know, make light of something. I don't know what happened in Colorado. Only 2 people know truly what happened. All I know is that we as human beings, we're all flawed. None of us are perfect. Nobody. We're all complicated. That's what makes being a human being so special, is that we're all complicated. We're all imperfect. We're all perfectly imperfect. There's no human being on this planet that is perfect. You can pretend that you have moral superiority, but we don't. We all have made mistakes. We all have said things. We all have done things. I know for me, I try to be a good person. Each and every day I wake up, I try to be a good person. I try to be a good husband. I try to be a good dad. I try to be a good brother. I try to be a good son, a good friend, a good employee, a good podcaster. I mean, I try to be good at everything. I try to be a great person in life. Do I always succeed? No. We're all flawed. I know I can speak for myself. I've said horrible things. I've done horrible things. I've hurt people. I've hurt people in my family. I've hurt my wife. I've hurt my kids. I've hurt people I love. I've hurt my friends. You know, we all like to think of ourselves as being perfect. We're not perfect. We're all flawed. We all have our own deficiencies, our own shortcomings in life. That's what makes this life so special, is that we're all imperfect. But every day you get to wake up and try again. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Kobe wasn't the perfect person. Nobody is. And I don't want to judge someone on their worst day. I think it should be talked about. I agree. It should be talked about. It should be a topic of discussion. But to sit there and say that someone shouldn't mourn this man because of his past or because he had a black cloud moment, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that with any celebrity. I don't agree with that even with celebrities that I didn't care for. If people want to mourn them, mourn them. Like, I think you should celebrate people. You should celebrate all of their life, not just the bad parts. You should celebrate their whole lives. You know, I hope and pray that the day I close my eyes for the final time, that people remember all of me, not just the bad parts, not just my worst days, but my best days. I think we all ask for that. But it's just sad, man. It's just sad that he's no longer here. It's crazy. It's and I think what makes it worse is that his daughter, man, 13-year-old little girl lost her life. And I know, it was an Oregon baseball coach on the flight. I mean, I honestly, like, I stopped watching the news after a while. Like, I just didn't want to. I know there's been, initially throughout the day it was 5 people. Now it was confirmed it was 9, and there was the coach and his family on board and some other individuals. I just stopped watching after a while because it just got so depressing. It just got to be too much. I just didn't want to watch it anymore. I just changed the channel. I just didn't want to watch the news anymore. I didn't want to go on Twitter anymore. I didn't want to see things. I just didn't want to talk about it anymore. I just didn't want to think about it anymore for a while. But this child, this 13-year-old little girl who was following in the footsteps of her father is gone. It just gives this even bigger meaning. And that's another aspect of this that I'll talk about, is the type of father that he seemed to be. I'm always a sucker for seeing men involved in their kids' lives. I always have a lot of respect for dudes, for guys that are actively involved in their kids' lives and try to be great dads. As a father myself, it's something that touches me. It's something that I can appreciate, that I respect. And I can't even imagine what his wife is going through right now. To lose your husband and your daughter in the same day. I just, but everything that you hear is that he was a great father, loving father. And you could just tell. Sometimes you could tell people are faking it, doing it for the camera, but like, you could honestly tell that this dude loved his family, loved his daughters, loved being a father. And it's just crazy, man. It's just really, really, really crazy. And I know in the days that pass it'll turn into less mourning and more celebration, And I don't want to say I have one specific moment. I guess if I had to pick one moment, is the Western Conference Finals Game 7, throwing the alley-oop to Shaq. That's my favorite moment as a Laker fan, still to this day. I would say that's my favorite Kobe moment. That and the game winner against Phoenix, Game 4. The steal, the lay-in to tie the game, and then obviously hitting the game-winning jumper. Those are the two moments that will stick out to me. There's another game too. It was a regular season game back in 2010, I believe, against the Heat, where he hit like a fadeaway bank shot over Dwayne Wade to win the game against the Lakers. It's a famous highlight. You've seen it before probably. I don't know why that shot sticks out to me. Of all the game-winning shots, of all the memorable shots that Kobe Bryant's taken, that shot just sticks in my head for some reason. Like like if somebody asked me like to just in my head to come up with a Kobe Bryant highlight, like that shot would be one of the first shots I think about. Obviously the 81-point game it's just incredible. I remember watching that game and just thinking like, wow, like this is phenomenal. This is just amazing. Like you can never, like, that's history. Like you're watching history at that very moment. Like you're calling people. At the time I didn't have a phone, but if I had a phone, I would be calling and texting people nonstop. Like, yo, are you watching this? Like, this is just amazing. There's so many moments to pick. There's so many moments to pick, man. And man, it's crazy. It's crazy. Again, I just, my prayers to his family, his wife, his mother, his parents. I know they had a strained relationship, but geez, it's still, no parent ever wants to have to bury their child. Nobody, no parent ever wants to do that. That's your biggest fear as a parent, is to know that someday, or just to even have the thought in your head that someday you might have to bury your child. It's just crazy, man. It's crazy. The thing that sticks with me, I think, is crazy because I've always felt like Kobe's been underappreciated historically. Like I feel like Kobe was underappreciated throughout his career. Like I feel like Michael cast such a huge shadow, and Kobe's career trajectory was weird because he intersected two iconic figures during his career. He intersected obviously MJ, and then he was there for LeBron. So he was really the bridge between those two guys. It's weird. It feels like Kobe never had his own 7-8 year run to be that guy. And I feel like because of that, he's been underappreciated. You know, it always felt like somebody always wanted to take away his greatness because, you know, oh, he was either too much like Michael or because, oh, he wasn't LeBron, you know. Like, I've literally had arguments with folks that, you know, well, how can he be better than Michael when he patterned his game after Michael? So everything he did was Michael, you know, and people calling him MJ Light. And then, of course, LeBron comes around, and LeBron is such a freak of nature. And in a lot of ways, like Shaq, like just this superhuman, just like this unicorn we've never seen before and will ever see again. Like, it's just this once in a lifetime type talent. And then obviously everybody starts picking LeBron and becoming a LeBron fan. Like, so it always felt like, at least to me as a Kobe Bryant fan, as a Laker fan, that he never got his just due. It always felt like people were trying to discredit him somehow, you know, and I feel like that's the saddest part of all this. It's like it took him dying in such a tragic way for people to really appreciate him. You know, it took this happening today and I think people are going to have a second look at his career. I think people are going to have a second look at his life, and they're going to appreciate him more. It's weird how that happens. It's like it takes death. I mean, isn't that the case with all life, though? It's like sometimes we don't appreciate it until we're gone. We're not appreciated until we're gone. We're not loved until we're gone, or nobody tells you that you're loved and you're special, or your impact on their lives until you're no longer here. That seems to be a common trend with humanity. But I'm just strictly talking from an athletic perspective. You know, it just always seemed like he was never appreciated. And I feel like that's why Kobe fans rode so hard for him, because it felt like in our little small circle, Kobe was our guy, and we always felt like we had to prop him up because, you know, we were constantly being told, oh, well, he's overrated, or oh, he's just MJ Light, or oh, he's not Tim Duncan, or oh, T-Mac is better, or oh, Gilbert Arenas is better, or this, or AI, he's no AI, or he's this, or he's that. Like, it always felt like, yeah, but with Kobe. And I never understood that. And I have my theory on it. Obviously, I feel like because he was kind of that bridge and that middle point between, you know, MJ and LeBron, and he intersected both careers, that I don't feel he had a chance to really stand on his own. Like, I've always felt like had Kobe came after LeBron, I think he would be appreciated more, or he would have came like far after LeBron. Or if MJ and LeBron had a bigger gap in between themselves, like if they had a 7 to 10 year gap in between those careers, I think Kobe would have had a time where he would have been a little bit more appreciated, historically. But, you know, unfortunately, that's what it is. So, I'll stop blabbering. I think I got most of my thoughts, man. I just want to say thank you to Kobe Bryant. Thank you for giving me, a wonderful basketball experience as a fan. I can honestly say this, and I know other Laker fans could say this, is that you gave us 20 years worth of amazing moments. And the way you carried yourself on that court, the way you played the game with the passion, with the love, with the ferocity, the tenacity, that killer instinct is something to be appreciated. I'll share one personal thing before I go, though. So it's, you know, towards the end of Kobe's career, and it's a famous picture of him being just completely wrapped up in ice bags. Like, literally just felt like the dude is just like a mummy. It looked like a mummy with just ice bags in his knees, thighs, his midsection, his shoulders. I mean, you just felt like the dude was just being freaking scotch taped together. And a little bit about me, I'm someone who has been dealing with a chronic and debilitating back injury for about 10 years now. And even that was something that I always related to, you know what I'm saying, was this man loving something so much that you could just tell the agony and the pain and just what it took for him to just drag himself to play. I mean, you saw that picture of him bandaged up with ice bags all over his body. Like, that's what it took for this man to do what he loved to do. And for somebody like me that's going through a chronic injury and again, I'm not trying to compare myself to Kobe on an athletic perspective. I'm trust me, I'm not. But it just always something that stuck to me. I always respected that. I always respected him even more for that. And it always gave me like a little bit of a motivation that no matter how shitty I felt, no matter how crappy I felt on a given day, like, I got to get up and do work. Not in some corny way because, oh, that's what Kobe would have done. But just like seeing that as like, if this dude can go out there with the ailments and the injuries that he's got and play a fucking game, then why can't I go and sit in front of a computer and do my little 9 to 5? You know what I'm saying? So it's just something it's just a little small anecdote that stuck with me that I wanted to share. But Once again, man, just thank you to Kobe Bryant for the wonderful, amazing moments and memories that will live with me forever. You know, I will tell my son that I had the honor of watching you play basketball, that I had the honor of following your career. I had the honor of watching almost every single game you played, of watching your great performances, the great highlights, the great dunks. I was there for all of your career. You know, it's funny. Like he was 41 years old. I'm 33, again, trying to rationalize. I mean, but it feels a little weird when you're 10 and you're trying to relate to an 18-year-old, but I mean, he's not that much older than me. He's not. He's my brother's age, so, it takes new meaning when you even try to put it in that context. It's like, it's crazy, but just thank you for the amazing moments and all that you gave basketball. And as a basketball fan, as a Laker fan, I know I speak for all of them when I say you gave us a lifetime of memories, man. And you're enjoying paradise, man. You deserve it. You lived a great life. You impacted a lot of people. I hope that your family finds, peace in that you impacted so many people. It won't ease the blow of you being gone, but, to know that millions of people today mourn the loss of this man. That's a hell of an impact, man. That's not something that a lot of people can say they can't say, a lot of people can't say that that's the type of legacy that they leave behind, that you impacted so many people. Generations worth of people. And I'm going to get up out of here. As always, you can follow the show on Twitter at AGS Pod, on Instagram, AGS Podcast, Facebook, Any Given Sunday. Make sure you become a member of AGS Nation. You can follow me on Twitter at DManuel Brown, on Instagram, DManuel Brown, Facebook, Manuel Brown, Snapchat, MannyBro15. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Hopefully you guys get something out of this, man. Hopefully this little podcast gave y'all a taste of what I was feeling today and what impact Kobe had on my life. And yeah, man, just engage with me on social media, man. Let me know what your favorite Kobe Bryant moments are and how Kobe Bryant touched your life as a fan. And once again, prayers to his family, prayers to the family of the other 7 individuals that were involved in today's accident. And before I get out of here, though, I do want to say something to everybody. Those of you who follow me on social media know that my son went through a procedure this week. And I just want to thank every single person that called, text, tweeted, DM'd me, shared their well wishes with me. I mean, it was truly humbling. It really was. And I just want to say thank you to every single person that reached out to me, man. People that listen to the show that I don't even know. People, obviously friends, families, associates, coworkers, everybody that gave me their well wishes, that reached out, showed support, man. I truly appreciate it. My wife and I are truly appreciative of that, truly humbled by that. Thank you so much. My son's doing better. He's doing great. He's already home, getting on our nerves. So he's back to normal. So thank you. And with that, man, hug your family members. Tell them you love them. You know what I'm saying? Don't get bogged down in bullshit. Don't get bogged down in petty differences and petty arguments. I'm not one to talk. I love my family and we fight, we argue, but just call your loved ones today, tomorrow, in the next week or so, and just tell them you love them and appreciate the times that you have with your loved ones, man, because, I feel like we forget sometimes that life is too short. This shit can go in a blink of an eye, We're here today. We can be gone tomorrow. And we didn't get to tell people how we truly felt about them. We didn't get to tell people how we really meant, what they meant to us in our lives. So just hug your family members. Tell them you love them. I love my 3 beautiful babies. I love my wife. I love my mother. I love my siblings. I love my friends. I love the friends that I've made through podcasts. I just love all y'all, man. I love the fans of the show. Thank you so much for supporting my dream. And, you guys mean a lot to me too, man. You guys allow me each and every week to, bore y'all to death and talk to y'all about whatever's going on, sports, pop culture, whatever. This has been my dream. So thank you guys. And that's how much you guys mean to me. So please hug your loved ones. Please tell the people that are in your life that you love them. Because you never know, you never know, your last moments could be at any moment. and you never had that opportunity. So I'm going to leave y'all with that, man. I'm going to get up out of here. I'll be back next week with another episode of the podcast. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. And most importantly, thank you.